Respected seniors, all my colleagues and members of Pediatric Cardiac Society of India, friends and colleagues. It's an honor to stand on shoulders of the giants who have served with excellence and distinctions. I always aspired to be a pediatric cardiologist, and with my interest, practice, and teaching, I tried to contribute to the knowledge and science-based society. And I acknowledge all who helped me to come to this stage. These are legions in our society, and they not only taught us the clinical skills and the subject, but they taught us the professional excellence. They showed us what's the scope of the subject, and the most important, they set the goals for us for clinical excellence. I acknowledge all the senior members of the society who contributed a lot in last 23 years of the society for the society's growth, encouragement, and their inputs. And not only for the society, they contributed immensely to our journal Annals of Pediatric Cardiology. And I acknowledge all these organizations where I worked for last 25 years for giving me platform for my work and growth. Actually, this year's conference is just not the 23rd anniversary year of the Pediatric Cardiac Society, but the year of the reconnection. All of us worked with intense pressure, with great demand for our personal and professional life last year. We dealt with uncertainties, and there were stories of resilience, empathy, and adaptability. We learned a lot of lessons, and now we are thinking, what do we need to rebuild? What do we need to reimagine? And what do we need to reject over the period of time? This famous psychiatrist who is a Holocaust survivor, he has said, forces beyond your control can take away everything you possess except the things, your freedom to choose how we'll respond to the situation. And we had the same problems with her. We had to struggle between saving the lives versus saving the livelihoods, and it was a big struggle for all of us. We learned a lot of lessons at personal level and at the healthcare levels as well. We learned flexibility and adaptability to the situations. Creative and critical thinking became part of our life. We became more techno-savvy. Again, data literacy had to be a part of our life. We learned how to connect, collaborate, and communicate effectively in this kind of a situation, because reconnecting was a need for the hour during that time. At the same time, even the healthcare suffered quite a lot. Professionals were diverted to COVID care. The resources were channelized to enhance capacity building for COVID affected patients. In the whole process, non-COVID children struggled quite a lot, and children with heart defects became victims of collateral damage. And we know there were multiple reasons because of extended period of lockdown. There was cessation of air and rail travel. There was no transport available even for the sick newborns, and precious time was lost obtaining necessary permissions. And we saw what happened to the elective cardiac procedures during the time. In fact, they also took a big hit. The pediatric cardiac care was completely stopped at many centers because available resources were diverted to COVID care. The surgical and intervention volumes for the elective procedures were down up to 25% of the regular capacity. Specialists who work for fee-for-service models were hit badly, and some of the centers were shut down during this time. At the same time, in fact, patients also struggled quite a lot. Like children with simple defects like VSD and tetralogy, they had worsening cardiac conditions, and they became higher surgical risk with increasing morbidity and mortality. The cardiac patients who became positive, again, the morbidity increased in that subset significantly. And there were major changes in the practices of surgery in COVID positive patients, and that increases the cost of healthcare significantly. And this is a recent report we published in Annals. There was decrease in hospitalization across all parts of India, across all the zones, and the services were down more than 70% in most of the centers. And there was decrease in all the parameters. The OPD patients came down, the hospitalizations, cardiac surgery, and interventions all decreased by more than 70% in most of the centers. And there was challenges to run the units effectively, and I hope some of those problems may get resolved. We are not sure whether we'll still keep on getting the government support for the pediatric cardiac care. The support from the trust also came down significantly because their funds were diverted to COVID care. There were problems from the parents' side because they lost their jobs, the shutting down of the business. They had huge pay cuts. Hotels and guest houses were shut down because most of the patients have to come to a tertiary cardiac care center in the metro cities. The hotels were unwilling to host the patients. We had a big hit on the international patients. And as we know, many centers have big number of international patients, and that helps to bridge the gap with additional revenues. And that revenue completely stopped during this time. At the same time, I feel the training and education also might have taken some hit, especially the surgical skills, because we have specific and short timeline for acquiring the surgical skills. And there is a concern because of the shorter duration of training, concern regarding decline of the technical skills. Though we continued our training through webinars, but I feel bulk of the training still comes in the cath lab, OAS, and ICU. We may have to consider the extension of duration of training. During the same time, we discovered a new entity called as MISC, multisystem inflammatory syndrome in children. At the peak of COVID, we thought that children were spared and they were not affected by COVID. But suddenly we started seeing children with a clinical presentation of myocarditis, dilated aneurysmal and coronaries. These children had COVID antigen antibody positive, they had contact history with COVID positive patients and raised inflammatory markers. So this clinical presentation was very, very similar to Kawasaki disease. Then we started seeing vertical transmission. The newborns were born with COVID positive mothers also had similar kind of presentation. And now we are seeing the third entity, MISC-like presentation in the immediate post cardiac surgery in the perioperative period. And that I think we need to look very carefully. We know that obstacles are never permanent and they are passing cloud. Our mental toughness and emotional stability, I think, helped during this time. That is a history of our specialty, courage, resiliency, and tenacity. And we have one of the most longest and rigorous training programs. Difficult decision-making, critical conversation with the family is a part of our day-to-day routine. We always manage pressure at work, and we try to counsel our team members and the families to minimize our fatigue, anxiety. These attributes have never been at a higher premium than at the present moment. I know we do have challenges ahead. We have backlog of unoperated patients during that time, and our resources and teams need to be utilized effectively. During the same period of time, I think most of our centers, they try, with the better communications, we tried coming together when we were seeing these patients with MISC, especially in the western zone of the country. Most of the centers came together and we had this multicentric data. We published this MISC data in children from western part of India. I think our confidence built up over the period of time, and we thought like we have to do the experiment of getting all the data together from most of the centers from India. We tried to communicate to all the major centers in the country, and we published this data which came from 24 centers from the country. What was the impact of COVID-19 on pediatric cardiac services? And we realized the services were down by more than 70% across the country. At the same time, we got the data of what happened to the COVID-19 positive children with heart defects and what was the outcome of the surgery for all these patients. And we did it very successfully. All these papers have come in recent annals of pediatric cardiology. And we, I think, started thinking and looking forward to how do we consolidate the gain. And I personally feel there is a need to develop a mechanism for research with us now. It's the most critical and urgent need of the society today. The number of patients, what we see and we treat, and the quality of experts we have in our society, I think research should have been much better than what we do now. Otherwise, I'm afraid that we may lose the gains which we achieved in last 3 to 4 decades of our society. We had to need beyond just the intervention-dominated research. We had to find out our own solutions because some of the problems of our specialty are very unique to us and can't rely on others to give the solutions for that. Maybe we had to have a compulsory research curriculum. Funding is going to be a problem. We need to collaborate with excellent technical institutes. And I personally feel the researchers need to be incentivized and awarded. And these are the multiple problems what we face. There is a lack of research training, research funding. I feel that we need to have role models for research and need to have a good interdisciplinary collaboration to take it forward. And this is a note given to me by some of the senior researchers in the country, what problems the researchers face. They feel the business do not have the confidence because of misuse of material supplied by them. The research need to be prioritized to the problems of applied sciences of immediate concern to the industry. There has to be interdepartmental and institutional collaboration, the rivalries can be sorted out by developing a code of conduct. The published data varies very significantly because there is a difference in coverage by concerning agencies. I think we need to have mechanisms for collaboration at multiple levels, and this is one of the examples which I saw and recently. This is a simple neonatal transport ambulance which has been designed by scientists from IIT Chennai. And as I know, this ambulance has been used in more than 100 this kind of ambulances have been used by Tamil Nadu state for transport of critically ill newborns. And I feel that this kind of models need to be worked with collaboration with these technical organizations. I feel as a society, we need to grow, we need to mature, and we need to sustain. The number of centers have increased from 14 to 90 over the period of 20 years. The specialists are growing. At the same time, we need to respect all the branches equally. When we work as a multidisciplinary unit as a pediatric cardiac care, I feel there need to be a shift from paternalism to the partnerships. Some of the practices were of past. We need to work for a better society to look ahead. Need to develop a self-auditing mechanism when all the partners come together as team members. And this is one of the chart which has been highlighted by one of our past president, how the pediatric heart program need to be going ahead. All the specialties and all the partners who are involved in the so-called pediatric cardiac care or pediatric heart program need to be respected and rewarded equally. The team approach is the practice of pediatric cardiac care, and all the members who are involved in the teams and the specialties have to work with harmony with each other. The interdisciplinary collaboration is the crux when we are taking care of the newborns and small babies with heart defects and getting the outcome successfully. For this, we need to strengthen the ICUs when we are having increasing numbers of neonates and infants coming for a pediatric cardiac care. We have to recognize and reward the paramedical support, especially the cardiac ICU nursing. And maybe we'll have to incorporate simple measures to improve the outcomes, like establish cohesive teams, quality improvement initiatives, and innovative techniques. When we try to consolidate gains over the period of time, I think there are some key requirements for a successful program. The skill of the team members is utmost important. We need to build up the mechanism to communicate and have a collective decisions. Maybe whenever multiple teams and multiple specialties come together, the disagreements are inevitable, but we need to develop a mechanism for dealing with disagreements. And at some time, the leader is the most important person who keeps all these paramedics and medicals together, and the roles need to be very well defined. We may have barriers for developing this programs running successfully, maybe egos, we don't have times for individual, and sometimes a traditional hierarchy also can become a problem. When we look at it, sometimes I feel there needs to be some shift of the service. I know that clinical excellence is the summit, but the clinical expertise need to go to the base to make this pyramid very strong. And at the same time, there need to be a change of the leaderships of running the programs. We know both these giants and both these concepts are very good and very important, but over the period of time, I think the fixed space need to shift to a flexible space, and that's a need of time when we try to go ahead. The honest differences when we work together, of the honest differences of views and debates are not disunity, they are just a vital process of policy making among free men. And the role of a leader is to keep all the tweaks together, and nothing should be falling apart. We know autonomy comes with greater responsibilities. Otherwise, we become the same against whom we rebelled. These are some of the concerns of my past president, and I'm very happy to say that over the period of 2 years, we managed to start the fellowship in pediatric electrophysiology, fetal cardiology, and pediatric cardiac intensive care fellowships. I know it's a very beginning and a long way to go, but at least we started, and I hope with more and more students coming for these fellowships over the period of years, we will strengthen these subspecialties in pediatric cardiology as well. As an organization, we have realized reforms are very inevitable. We are more inclusive over the period of last few years. We are giving voices to our unsung heroes in our success stories, and they are mainly the ICU care experts, anesthetists, nursing, perfusion professionals. And we have now added even the physician assistant in our group, and we are expanding as a society to give them memberships. But one of the questions we were discussing in this conference, can we address all children with congenital heart defects? In the map of India, half of the states of India doesn't have even a primary cardiac care. And as a society, it's our responsibility to get all these children under the so-called umbrella of pediatric cardiac care. Average child in India needs access to comprehensive cardiac services, maybe a distant dream, but I think it's a worthwhile goal for all of us to pursue. Thank you very much for bestowing on me the greatest honor of our professional life. With the leadership of our incoming president, Dr. Rajesh Sharma, I'm sure the society will reach newer heights. Thank you, everybody. And it's my honor to hand over this leadership to Dr. Rajesh Sharma.
Wait. I want to take you.